Welcome back to Voices of Government IT, implementing identity intelligence to provide enhanced user experience while ensuring mission security, sponsored by Unisys here on Federal News Radio, part of the Federal News Network. My guest today is Lakshmi Ashok, Chief Technology Officer for Homeland and Critical Infrastructure at Unisys. I'm your moderator, Tom Temin. And before we go into what Unisys can do for federal agencies, a couple of issues I wanted you to talk about. What are some of the cultural issues with biometrics and all of this identity proofing, and how do those give challenges to federal agencies seeking to implement this?
Yeah. So biometrics, any change is met with resistance. And so introducing a new biometric technology, for example, is new. So it's change. It's the fear of the unknown. It's fear of knowing whether we need to upskill to deal with that kind of technology. And it's also fear with the privacy, data privacy issues. So from an end user perspective, I'm okay if I'm photographed, but the moment my fingerprints get taken, I'm wondering what happens? Who's going to use my fingerprints, right? So these are some of the cultural issues, both from an end user perspective and from an implementation perspective, that we need to be aware of. And one way around that is by training individuals, explaining to them, being transparent about here's what all these biometrics are going to be used for. And here's the amount of security and privacy that we're surrounding the biometrics with. Also providing the training. If I were a government official, I would need thorough training on these end user devices now and to figure out how they operate and how to use them well. So we all have to go through that training. We have to go through organizational change management,
Sure.
To influence some of that culture.
And there's some technical issues, too, with just basic interoperability,
Yes.
because many of these combined systems use everything from the latest online type of digital services, but they also call on some of the legacy COBOL systems and so forth. So does interoperability come into play here, too?
Spot on. So there's so many standards, even within biometrics themselves. There's the Biometrics Institute, there's the ISO, IEC. Then you couple that with your 509 standards, couple that with your 508 standards. And so how each vendor interprets or which standard they use plays a huge role on the way the templates are stored. And so one vendor may be using a different template technology than the next vendor. So as we're trying to use these and integrate these templates, it becomes quite difficult for us, and that much more difficult for the agencies. So what we're doing at Unisys is we have a stealth identity product that really has an abstract data layer. And we normalize the data collected from each of these devices as well as the different algorithms there to provide that commonality so that agencies can use that as they speak. And then what we have is we've got customized interfaces to the different vendor devices and the different algorithms. So that's how we're helping solve this. In the Australia case I was talking about, we had to bring together a whole bunch of different technologies and products, and we had to really architect this common data layer to combat and conquer some of these interoperability difficulties.
Yeah, so the integration function really comes into fore here as something that agencies need to access.
Yes, absolutely. And also remain technology proof. So a good capture device, a camera today, a vendor technology may not be that good or that great 2 years down the road. So if I were dependent on that vendor template, I would need to change everything 2 years down the road. But if you use this common layer, the integration layer, then it's easier to just remodel the templates to accommodate the new technology.
It's almost like you have a biometric bus, if you will, for going across your systems.
Yep.
Because
exactly.
I was thinking about that as agencies deploy, say, cameras in public places. The quality of the old cameras that were big, giant things is not that great. And yet within the thumbnail size part of a cell phone today, a modern smartphone, you've got an incredibly powerful camera.
Yes.
And so somehow agencies need to make sure that they can inculcate these new technologies and new form factors as they come in.
Without changing everything that they have in place, because then that itself would be a huge transformation.
Sure.
So they have to make themselves technology proof.
And what are the special skills Unisys brings to all of this?
So Unisys, we've been doing biometrics. We've been implementing, delivering biometrics for over 25 years. Some of the areas we've done, the Australia case I've spoken about, even within U.S., we have several agencies that we've deployed multiple modalities of biometrics. We also, I'm just naming a few examples, we're working with the Angola government, where we're enrolling all their citizens and issuing them registration cards. And this is a massive effort. We have 650 biometric units. To date, we've processed about 7.5 million citizens, a few more million to go.
That's like doing Colorado or something.
That is like doing Colorado. But the things that we do well in delivering all this is a few things. We adhere to standards, and we have products that, in fact, provide, going back to your analogy of the biometrics bus. So we have a fantastic biometrics bus. We sit on committees, data privacy committees, biometrics institutes. So not only do we know what these privacy requirements are, we tend to shape them as well. And we're well aware of what's going on so that we use those policies within whatever capabilities we develop. And the other thing that we do well is, I was talking to you earlier about our work with UVA and some newer technologies like BehavioSec and PuriLock that do the continuous authentication piece. So we invest R&D in coming up with proof of concepts around capabilities that we can take to market, that we can go to market with. And these capabilities really are all around efficiency and making it less expensive, let me put it that way, so that even a commoner can use these biometric capabilities.
And a final question, what about, say, the analytical output, such that systems can get better over time?
Yes. So what we do, especially in the area of facial recognition and fingerprinting, we help fine-tune these algorithms. So there's quite a bit of training that we help with. And we fine-tune the algorithm so that the next time an anomaly occurs, we can automatically pick up the face or recognize the face or the identity of the person. So these are some of the ways. We also have a wonderful OCM program, Organizational Change Management, going back to influencing and helping with the shift in culture. We've got a really good training program that we use with our agencies whenever we deploy any technology, for that matter, to help with adoption of the technology.
Wow, lots to ponder. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
My guest today is Lakshmi Ashok, is Chief Technology Officer for Homeland and Critical Infrastructure at Unisys. I'm your moderator, Tom Temin, and you're listening to Federal News Radio, part of the Federal News Network. For more on this discussion, visit federalnewsnetwork.com and search Unisys.